on over here. Dollar Club Wrestling. Bada boom, realest guy in the room. How you doing? I'm Enzo. And if I had a dime for every time I watched Dollar Club Wrestling, I would have 0 dimes. No, I'm just joking, man. Have about $1, right?
Hey, this is former WWE superstar and ECW original, the Blue Meanie, and you're listening to the Dollar Club Wrestling. Make your dollars holler. I mean it is. And Dollar Club Wrestling.
That's it. Enough for you. Go to bed. Go to bed. Go to bed.
Respect the dollar.
Your raps are about as fake as chain. I don't give a and you know you can hear it. Where the you get that chain from? Halloween Spirit? I don't give a This is Dollar Club Wrestling.
I'd buy that for $1.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Dollar Club Wrestling Podcast, episode 11. I am your host, and if you don't know who I am, you better
Recognize me.
Jim Prendy, and I'm here with my man, my brother, the regular co-host, Panetta Sexy Time. What's up, my man?
This is what greatness looks like. Your former hardcore Intercontinental Champion right here. I'm going to win this belt back.
You're the former. Why are you holding it?
Because I stole it.
And we have a special guest joining us for the first time. It's our first time on a podcast together. From the PWC, Jeff Flipman. How you doing, my man? Good to have you.
What is up, everyone? I would expect a guy from Philly to be stealing title belts.
Bryce Harper's back tomorrow. Speaking of Philly.
Yeah, he doesn't want to let it go. He keeps it.
I said, can you guys afford me? And you said it's $1. And I said, my rates just went up.
Man, you're just in the budget.
That getting a lot of backlash from that the Chris Masterlock thing. Have you read that on Facebook about his purse?
Yeah, dude, he's like the ultimate specimen, and guys are making fun of him for having a man purse. Like, he can wear whatever he wants, Chris Masters.
One guy even busted on your tattoos.
I know, man. That. I reported him for harassment.
Did you really?
Yeah. So that dude, you're banned from Facebook.
Oh my! Wow, that's hard ass.
You respect these tattoos.
Hey,
that's 2022 hardcore.
You should have responded to him. You told on him.
I can't respond. If you say anything remotely bad on there as like an admin, they kick you off or like you get in trouble.
Oh, you didn't have to say anything bad, but it could have been.
We're Philly people, Jim. It's either bad or nothing at all. You know how we roll.
Okay. Well, let's get started here. Obviously, our first topic is going to be the big match last night. I don't know. It's getting a lot of backlash. There's a lot going on with it. Jeff, you're a guest. Why don't you start out? What did you think of that match last night?
Wow. So many things swirling around, so many rumors, so much smoke. Maybe there's some fire. Who knows? I mean, first, obvious ratings grab. Second, Moxley's an Ohioan, squashes Punk in Cleveland, Ohio, sort of close to his hometown. There's all this talk about Punk coming back too soon. Well, we know that's not the case because he was hopping around on one foot a couple weeks ago. And then he made a big presentation when he came into the ring to jump down off the second turnbuckle. And, and also the kick, the Hurricane Rana, whatever, which is where he allegedly re-injured his foot. He kicked that with his right foot, but it was his left foot that was hurt. So, listen, whether you think he's the best in the world or not, he's a professional wrestler, and he didn't do that stuff by accident. So that's his way of being passive-aggressive and letting the smart people know that he's not exactly thrilled with it. I really think the Mox's promo was, this is my time, because he didn't want to be called interim champion. He at least wanted to be called two-time champion. So I think this is the compromise they came up with. Also the ratings grab. I don't know how they're going to explain that CM Punk miraculously got healed enough in 10 days, but I guess they'll be playing up the babyface homecoming hero angle. They'll be dumb to, people like us, but people that are 16 to, 31, they'll probably eat it up.
Yeah, that was my take. I thought they're throwing Moxley a bone just to get that interim thing off, and then at the pay-per-view, CM Punk will take it back. That's my thought on it. What about you, Kev?
Well, I think they went into panic mode because of WWE stepped their game up, and Tony Khan fears Triple H. He feared NXT, the original one. That's why he signed Red Dragon, like the Undisputed Era, right away. But I definitely think it definitely was a ratings play. 9 o'clock. For a second, I'm like, is this going to be an hour? And then it's a 3-minute match. They're in panic mode. They're definitely scared of WWE's making moves right now. It's my opinion on that.
Do you think anyone even watched after that match?
Yeah, I got people talking. They were wondering, but like, I felt bad for Ricky Starks after that. Doing the promo after that too, the crowd couldn't care less. You know, like they paid for a world title match, and then they got nothing. They got trashed. They got sports entertained. The whole first bit was about how sports entertainment sucks, and then they do a sports entertainment segment for the world title. They did the finger poke of doom. Shout out to Big Ray Hernandez, 2022, right there.
Was it me or was the production quality bad last night?
No worse than usual. It's like good for an indie show, but not WWE quality.
Yeah, I didn't notice anything particularly different with the production. I mean, at least they didn't run out of time this week.
Oh, Jim, I did originally predict that Moxley was going to win the belt. I didn't think it would be on Dynamite. Win the belt first, just so this wouldn't count. It would count as a title reign. Because this interim shit's bullshit in a predetermined sport. It doesn't count the whole summer that John Moxley had. But I think
rid of one interim title, bring in another. I mean, it's
my God, it's so stupid.
cosmic balance. I'm inspired by
sense.
the screen behind us.
Makes no sense.
In 6 months from now, this is going to have more value than any belt on AEW television.
Why? What do you think? Why do you think they made Moxley like crush him like that? Like.
Because they're giving away the match for free, so at least it'll be I assume they're going to wrestle at the pay-per-view, so you'll actually get the real match this time, I guess.
So it's going to go from him just demolishing him to a good match, and Punk wins in the end.
No one ever said Tony Khan, well, besides the internet wrestling community dirt sheet writers, that he's Booker of the Year.
Let me ask you guys a question. I was thinking about this earlier. Moxley's finisher is sort of like an inverted, it's sort of like a DDT. And last night he did it twice, but neither one looked anything like a DDT. They both were just basically, cross arms suplexes. And do you think that Punk twisted his body too much, and that's why they did it twice? And he did that on purpose also to sabotage Moxley's finisher? Because I wouldn't
put it past him, honestly.
That's my QAcon. This is a Hammerlock Hangover exclusive thing. A QAcon conspiracy.
I don't think so. My boss doesn't watch wrestling anymore. He used to watch during the Attitude Era, and because this was such a big deal, even he saw this too. And he's like, he heard of CM Punk, and he watches UFC. He's like, CM Punk lost to like a crap-looking DDT. I'm like, yeah, it was pretty pathetic. It was like even like the random casuals saw it, but they're even laughing at it. How bad it looked too. And they know
it looked like a DDT. They look like two suplexes.
Yeah. He just didn't even watch wrestling anymore, but that was sad.
Well, it's not a good finisher. I don't like it.
Sometimes it looks okay, especially when he does it from the top rope, you know?
Yeah.
It was a Future Shock DDT.
They didn't look good last night, though.
No, it was garbage.
I mean, he should have done it with an ankle lock on the left foot. If he was going to sell a story of him being brutal and going for the pain and trying to kill him, I mean, that would have made more sense to me. But I don't know.
Well, that would be psychology, which AEW doesn't like to do.
No, they do not. But otherwise, other than the finisher, that was the psychology. He's injured. He came back too soon. He hurt himself, and Moxley's taking advantage like a killer, and he's killing him. I mean, I guess the counter argument to that is, if you want to be a mark tard, you can say, well, Moxley's offense is Moxley's offense, so he doesn't adjust. He's a brawler, so he the pain was so much he took advantage the way he knew how. At the end, fine.
We just been watching wrestling for 30 to 40 years, Yeah.
Whatever. It didn't make sense. I don't think anybody understands it, but I guess we'll see what happens.
Like Alvarez and Meltzer and stuff are sticking up for this too. They're like, it's booked geniusly the way it should have been booked. It's ridiculous how they just licked the ball sack of AEW. I like AEW, but like that was a shitty booking decision.
Speaking of those guys and the dirt sheets, there was a little controversy on our Facebook page this week. Kev, why don't you start out with this? Roman was the wrestler of the year last year on our podcast.
Yes.
But a lot of dirt sheet guys had Kenny Omega.
Yeah, PWI, Pro Wrestling Illustrated, too. They had Kenny Omega's number 1, too, because he was the belt collector. He had the AEW championship, and he had like 4 minor league belts pretty much. And I guess those 4 minor league belts are equivalent to Roman Reigns not losing a match and beating the best in the world. You know, apparently, according to internet nerds, virgins at home.
Jeff, let me ask you this.
Yep.
When you're talking wrestler of the year, what do you think goes into that? What are they looking at? What makes the wrestler of the year or sports entertainer of the year?
I think you'd have to say impact on your product, impact on other wrestlers, your win-loss record, your presence, are you at all transcending the sport? Are people talking about you at all in some sort of mainstream? I mean, I know why Kenny Omega wanted, the biggest reason is probably, it's 51% of their bias. Then there's some, listen, he had a good year. He was the AEW champion. He was the Impact champion for whatever that's worth, and the AAA champion for whatever that is worth. He defended the title, on a lot of pay-per-views and things like that. Frankly, to me, though, the most dominant person of 2021 was Bobby Lashley. I mean, Roman always counted on the Usos and Heyman. He almost never beat anyone clean, maybe Cesaro and like 1 or 2 others. Lashley rarely depended on MVP or anybody else. He dominated everyone. So if anyone was in the conversation, to me, it's Lashley. I mean, he never had a shot because they had him lose the title, then win it again in a short little reign. But yeah, so I would have gone with Roman also because he's probably the only wrestler right now who transcends the sport or entertainment or milieu genre. He's going to be in movies pretty soon. I mean, I know he's already been in some movies, but he's going to be in movies regularly. He's the next guy to have, a possible kind of Batista, John Cena. Like, I'm not going to put him in The Rock because there's only one Rock. But,
yeah.
So, Jeff, we kind of agree with the Lashley thing. We actually have Lashley as our top WWE wrestler this year. Well, I do, at least, so far, just because he hasn't lost even but Roman Reigns, just because he transcends the sport, if anybody does. Like, probably nobody does in wrestling anymore. It's not as big as it used to be. He's the closest to getting there. So, but this year we have Lashley right ahead of Roman Reigns this year.
Let's put it this way. If you go into a bar right now, like any sort of bar where your average people are 21 to 45, and you said, acknowledge me, chances are there's going to be at least a handful of people know what you're talking about. If you go in there and you go the Trigger, they're going to be like,
nobody.
What the fuck? If you go One Winged Angel, they're going to be like, listen, no preaching here. We don't mind religion, but we're not looking for Jesuits here.
And that's what I was looking for. I mean,
Conversion?
Who doesn't know? Acknowledge me. No, I mean, for wrestler of the year, I mean, everybody. Who doesn't know acknowledgement? I mean, it's the biggest thing in wrestling right now.
I think
Charles Barkley said it. I'm sorry. He said on the TNT NBA show, he goes, acknowledge me.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know how you can argue that, but.
Oh, for the people at home, we're not WWE biased. We actually had the Young Bucks as our tag team of the year last year. Me and Jim did. That was all me picking it, Jim.
Yeah. That was you. I kind of just went along with it.
I got a lot of hate for that pick, too. They have a lot of it's either love or hate with them.
Well, the WWE tag division is, especially last year, I mean, it's, I don't know, almost non-existent except for the Usos, I would say.
Well,
you agree with that?
Made a case for FTR as well, but I mean, the Young Bucks, like them or hate them, are the most important tag team of the last decade, just because of how much they've influenced wrestling for better or for ill. I mean, that's undeniable. But I think this year, I mean, the
Usos this year,
yeah,
and then FTR, yeah. Then the Hardys were influential the last 10 years too. They actually made Impact relevant for a minute too.
not really so much as a team. I mean, that was more the broken Jeff universe. I mean, the Hardys really haven't been a team since the early 2000s.
That's true. That was right. Yeah, they got bigger at the broken. They did have that Ring of Honor run, but they weren't as big until Matt went solo. True. Good point.
It's Ring of Honor. I mean, I'm probably the only true Ring of Honor fan I know, I know it's Ring of Honor. Come on.
Yeah.
Speaking of Wrestler of the Year or Sports Entertainer of the Year, just a little. Kev, what's the difference between a professional wrestler, and a sports entertainer? Is there a difference?
Well, AEW thinks there's a difference, but no, there's not. You should be entertaining. Any wrestler should be entertaining. Like your goal should not be, let me just do as many moves without having a story. Like if there's no storyline in wrestling, you might as well just go to Norristown and watch two crackheads fight over a lottery ticket. At least I could laugh at the outcome. You definitely need to be entertained. You need a character. You need to be invested in the match. If we're just doing moves, I was a Greco-Roman wrestler. So were you, Jim. We would just watch collegiate wrestling or high school wrestling. But this is sports entertainment is a part of wrestling now. If at least of AEW, this style of wrestling, it's very, very important. Without a character, just go back to college, bro.
Well, as a whole, I think the profession, you're a sports entertainer. Wrestling. Being a worker wrestler is part of that sports entertainment.
Yeah, but you don't need to be a great worker too. You can be a big giant in sports.
No, you don't. But that's what I'm trying to say. That's not it's a part of it, but there's other parts too.
Yeah, but they shouldn't be taking pride in not being entertaining, which is ridiculous.
But I think a lot of those guys do. They think that's the most important thing. What do you think, Jeff?
I mean, I think in reality, there's absolutely no difference. It's a silly argument. It's a distinction without a difference, and it's especially silly now that Jericho Appreciation Society and Blackpool Combat Club are still carrying on that story 4 weeks after Triple H took over. I mean, you could at least argue something as far as style, safe style, although WWE matches are basically the same. I think in people's minds, I mean, the psychology of it, I mean, the actual psychology of the fans who think that way, I think that they like to think that the wrestlers are relatable. So if they see someone that looks like them that can do the technical things, they think they could do the technical things if they worked long and hard to do it. And, I guess Bad Bunny and Logan Paul has sort of proven them right in that almost anyone can. I mean, but that's nothing new. Let's face it. Abdullah the Butcher was a pro wrestler for a long time, and he's certainly not an athlete. I think if you listen to the Brian Alvarez difference, it's that you can work a match even if it's not scripted or something goes wrong, or if you can work with anybody, or if you were told you have 11 minutes but now you have 6 minutes, you can adapt and still put something out together. I can respect that. The problem where that falls out for, I hate to make it everyone against AEW, but it's primarily AEW fans making this argument, is they talk about FTR about being the best pro wrestlers and Dax Harwood being like the wrestler of the year. Well, his accolades have all been basically for doing cover matches of Owen and Bret Hart matches. That's not professional wrestling. That's dancing. That's you're literally it's cosplay. It's like a cover band playing the Eagles songs and saying, "Whoa, you wrote some great songs." No, you played the Eagles songs.
Right.
I think it's funny too that Daniel Bryanson is the guy leading the wrestlers. He's a great wrestler, but he's married to a Bella. He was the angry vegan. It's ridiculous that he's the guy that one of the best sports entertainers of all time with his hemp belt and stuff too. Jim, real quickly, AEW teaches you that the past matters. So when it's convenient to them, it matters. We're supposed to know every Ring of Honor history, but we're not supposed to remember Daniel Bryan's angry vegan character. It's only when it's convenient we're supposed to know everything. We're supposed to know all the YouTube stuff.
You know what that is? It's fickle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, would Bryan Danielson be so over, or as he was in WWE, if he didn't have an entertaining yes yet? I mean, would he be that over?
No. I don't know. Bret Hart comes from WWE, and he actually was more invested in him when he was feuding with Stone Cold, when he was when he had the Hart Foundation with British Bulldog and them too. He was much more entertaining with the character. When
he was anti-America.
Yeah, he used to do matches every week too. He used to be Jean-Pierre Lafitte and stuff too. He's much better when he was with the Hart Foundation as the angry Canadian against the Americans. And he's one of the best wrestlers ever, maybe the best wrestler ever.
That's what people. Go ahead, Jeff.
It would mean more if the guys in the sports entertainment faction were entertaining, but you have, at least now, Daniel Garcia and Jake Hagar, which are two of the most boring, but solid technical wrestlers there are. And I mean, I guess you could argue that 2.0 or
they're less boring than Wheeler Yuta, though, and everyone loves Wheeler Yuta. That's ridiculous. Like, Daniel Garcia is much better than Yuta. Like, what?
Well, to me, they're the same guy.
I mean, look, people give the Miz a bad rap, but I enjoy watching the Miz. I'd rather watch the Miz than some of these guys that say they're good workers.
AEW could run the world. MJF should have been champ a year ago, And then he wouldn't be crying, like wouldn't have this drama with them too. MJF and Punk, they could have had so much. Whoever the show's based around should be the champ. Like, they just forced Hangman Page just because Tony had a 3-year plan. Now the 3-year plan's getting him in the ass. MJF should have been running this company, and he maybe would have helped them transcend it. They'd be $1.5 million. Maybe not. We'll never know. But he had a shot of that,
What do you think is going to happen with MJF? Is it a work? Is he coming back?
Jeff disagree on this. I think it was a work. Jeff doesn't believe that for a second.
It's 12 weeks. Who takes their biggest star off of TV for 12 weeks when all of your other biggest stars are injured? Nobody.
Well, he doesn't think he's the biggest star. He thinks Wheeler Yuta's a star. He thinks Cesaro's because he's got Ring Honor champs a star.
Kev, if it was a work, it was probably this guy's the dumbest freaking promoter, whatever you want to call him.
He looks at minute-by-minute ratings. He knows who the draws are. Now, he's sometimes confused. He's convinced himself that Orange Cassidy is a star because he's had some high quarter ratings when he's been wrestling or in a program with people who get high ratings. But when it's just been, Orange Cassidy and best friends against like 3 dorks, it's the lowest rated segment. He ignores them, but he sells a lot of merch, which, I guess makes it confusing, but he knows. He knows that, listen, MJF brings in more viewers regularly, and this doesn't make me happy than Bryan Danielson. It does make me happy that he brings in a lot more than Adam Cole and Red Dragon and Kenny Omega, because nothing against them, but they're minor league stars. Punk, the only 2 consistent drivers beyond the AEW base was Sting, which is ridiculous, who debuted the same night as Shaq, but he kept some of it. They brought in 300,000 more people for Shaq, and they kept about 100,000 of them for Sting. And then Punk, who gave them another 150,000, who basically stayed with them and then left again when he was on the shelf. And then they sort of came back. So it's probably more like 100,000 now. I mean, everything, but that's a lot for one person.
They rotate guys off TV too much too. Like Darby Allin should be on TV every week. He was getting big. He was growing some momentum, and they take guys off too much too. They don't get a chance to organically grow. Like Miro too, that disappeared. Like Malachi Black will be on for 3 weeks, disappear. They don't get a chance to get that momentum. It's like they're not going to grow a new star ever.
What's that? I read a thing that Moxley, I guess, after the show last night was ripping Vince McMahon and what he did with Cesaro and how great he is. But when's the last time Cesaro was on TV? What's his name now? Claudio?
He hasn't been featured in like 3 weeks. He's just on the background, just like he was in like WWE. Yeah. And they're saying he's a world champion, Ring of Honor champion. Bullshit.
There is no Ring of Honor
champion. Yeah. There's no show. Has a more like I have a YouTube show at least.
I don't know what Moxley is doing, because his wife is rumored to be in talks with WWE. I mean, I guess he's going to just say it's show business, but Vince was the one that always forgave people over show business because he was the biggest carny of them all. I don't know that Hunter feels that way or not, but I don't know. We'll cross that bridge if we ever get to it. I mean, Moxley may lose too much blood or get too much MRSA or staph infections.
I sneezed on him. He started bleeding once.
Being with Nick Gage and kissing Effie at the same time.
All right, enough AEW talk. This week there was a return to WWE, Johnny Gargano. It made me think, a question. These small guys, NXT loved the small wrestlers back in the day with Triple H. Do you think that will ever work on the main roster? Can a small guy carry the company? Jeff?
Carry the company? No, but if they do, it's got to be something organic. I have serious doubts about Johnny Gargano. First, he's very small. Daniel Bryan, although he was short, he was always he looked like the wrestler. He looked like somebody who would beat you. He always had that earnest face. Johnny Gargano does look like an actor. It's a difference. So I don't dislike Johnny Gargano, but I think he's too small. And I think he's also too old to get that organic following behind him. I mean, Daniel Bryan was sort of young. He was up and coming. You sort of thought of him as your grown-up son. I think a lot of people just embraced him at the right time. And he was with giants. He was with Kane. Like, he was the scrappy underdog. Gargano is very small, but he's not that much smaller than Ali or Ciampa's former tag team partner, or Ricochet or Kofi or Xavier. So I have doubts about it. And listen, I'm not thrilled. And I know NXT isn't what you asked about, but I made a crappy joke that when we saw Tyler Bate confront Braun Breaker, I'm like, I thought House of Dragon was a Discovery Warner Brothers property. How come I just like Tyrion Lannister confronting Braun Breaker?
What do you think, Kev? You like the small guys?
I don't like the small guys for a world champion, but they can be great intercontinental champions. And Johnny Gargano with Ciampa there's definitely money in that tag team right there. But Johnny Gargano could be a good 2-time intercontinental champion. Him and Ricochet could put on some great matches. That's what the wrestlers should be doing, like carrying that intercontinental division while the entertainers are being the world champions. In my opinion.
Well, let me ask you this: is it really their size, or is it how they present themselves? Like AJ Styles, he's not a huge guy, but he can wrestle big. He's believable, right?
It depends how over you get. Matt Riddle's going to get the world title one day just because the crowd loves him,
Riddle's not really a small guy, but I don't think he can carry the company either.
Taller than AJ Styles. He might be an inch taller, but he's not thicker than him. He has the advantage because he had the
and he was an MMA fighter too.
Yeah. So. Yeah, but he's going to win the world title one day unless he does something stupid and talks himself out of it.
I agree with you, but I think we talked about this last week. But what do you think? Do you think Riddle can carry the company, Jeff? I think he can be a champion, but in his current character, I don't think he can carry the company.
Oh, well, Jeff, real quick. Last week we said that we thought of him like a Jeff Hardy. He'd be a 2-time champion, transitionally a month here, a month there. Just like because he missed.
The funny thing is you have to scale everything down because Jeff Hardy is about 6'3". He was a small guy in his time, but now he's not so small. I mean, he's still slim, but even Matt Hardy sometimes look huge, and not in the bad way, depending on who's around. Anyway, I don't really think that there's any one person who can carry the company anymore. I'm not sure there ever was. I mean, I think the only one person who did was Hulk Hogan, and he was sort of a once and forever kind of thing, not a lifetime. I mean, maybe forever. That just everything, the timing, his size, his charisma, the whole climate, the Reagan years, everything together.
Rocky III, perfect timing.
Yeah, all came together at the right time. You have The Rock, you had Stone Cold, you had The Rock, you had Kurt Angle, you also had The Undertaker and Shawn and DX around, you had WCW as the foil. So I'm not sure that any one person, I think that's unfair. I think wrestling is an ensemble cast. So you need to have, I think the key is that you always have 6 to 8 people who you can believe in the top spot, and that you should make every other title be believable. I mean, if I was Hunter, one of the first things I would do would be to try to thread the needle between people like me, Sizes, and people like Kevin, who are not, and modern fans who usually aren't. And that is get rid of that stupid 24/7 title, bring back a cruiserweight title that's defended across all brands, and boom, you got something important for people like Ricochet and Ciampa and Gargano and Ali and Cedric, and when Santos Escobar, because I think a lot of people think Santos Escobar is a lot bigger than he is, and when you see him, he's going to be 2.5 inches shorter than AJ Styles. You're right, AJ Styles is a smaller guy, but he has slimmed down with age, and he's got 18 years of earning his CV to get where he is. If AJ Styles was always this size with his soccer mom haircut, I don't think he ever would have gotten over it. AJ got over in WWE because he was a legend. Same reason Rey Mysterio got over in WWE, because he was already a legend.
What?
I think.
I guess let me put it a different way. Sorry, Kev. I guess not Kev. Could Riddle be like Roman Reigns? Could he have that kind of title reign?
No.
All right. Okay, Kev. Sorry.
Yeah, Jeff. Like, I don't think they would ever bring a cruiserweight belt back again, just because wrestlers are afraid to get pigeonholed as a cruiserweight guy. But I could see him bringing back a hardcore belt again, which is mostly won by cruiserweights or brawlers, or even like a European belt back as a third tier belt, and make it more prestigious, because you have like all these European wrestlers now, like Sheamus, Drew, Finn Balor, and then maybe the Intercontinental belt would probably move to the smaller guys.
What about the TV championship? I used to love that belt.
Well,
I
I
wouldn't
don't
be
think they should care what they get pigeonholed, as long as they're paid the same. And if you make it important, and if you get over enough, you can transcend it, like Daniel Bryan did, or Bryan Danielson, like Finn Balor did. I mean, he'd be another one. That'd be someone. I mean, I would make Ray the first inaugural champion, like they would do with Jericho, to make it important from the beginning, and he can retire, and then they have a big tournament or something. I don't know. I'm just saying. Maybe it's because I am a sizist and I do want to pigeonhole them, but occasionally someone can break through, and that's the only way to gauge it, how over they are. And you give it a title to make it important. It's easier to feature them together. There's only so many times you can believe Ali is going toe to toe with Bobby Lashley.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Finn Balor, I don't know. Do you think he's believable?
He has been at times. It depends who he's against. Him against, like, if Big Show is still wrestling, it's not believable.
Like against Brock?
No, absolutely not.
And
he gets hurt too much.
Yeah, I mean, he's ripped. He's just he's small.
He's ripped like an underwear model, which is what he is.
That's crazy. What I was going to ask a question. I lost my train of thought. Who would, Jeff, this was another thing we talked about before. Who in your mind would be believable or acceptable to beat Roman Reigns clean at this point? Anybody?
I'm the biggest Bobby Lashley mark in the world, so Bobby Lashley. So I could see him almost with assistance, just because he's so gigantic. If Sanga can half wrestle, and they did something with him, Sanga, I think he's hysterical as the polite and inspirational giant that wants to help people. Who else? I mean, Drew can.
You're not a big Drew guy, are you?
I am, but you know what? There's something missing. There's some spark. There's some lack of authenticity. It's almost like the same thing with Adam Page, except I do think that Drew has more drive than Adam Page, and he looks the part. He just doesn't sound real. Like when he was going with Kevin Owens, he sounded real, but that was it. Once Kevin Owens was gone, he sounded like sort of color by numbers babyface again. He's just missing. He's like trying to be the Scottish Warrior instead of just being himself.
How about Braun Breaker, guys?
One note: he doesn't know how to act. He doesn't know how to work.
Roman wasn't great when he first started either on the mic. He needs time. We'll see how he is in time.
He's also smaller than you think. I didn't look at him. He's the Baltimore Ravens list him as 6 feet 230. So his weight might have changed, but his height hasn't. And I think if you're going to beat Roman and you're 6 feet, you need to be 285. You need to be built like Brian Cage, or something.
Yeah, I think I understand. I like Drew. I think he's entertaining. I think he's good in the ring. But I think I know what you're saying, like the corny jokes he says. He tries to be funny. He just doesn't know where his character is, I don't think.
Yeah, it's not so much him. I'm sure Vince said, do the Scotch and take the sword. The sword killed him.
Yeah,
I would run the sword for pay-per-views only, Cool entry, like a cool video game pay-per-view entrance would be cool.
I never bring that sword anywhere.
I think Kevin Owens could beat Roman Reigns.
No. No.
I'm just a Kevin Owens more.
I think Alexa Bliss should beat him.
What if they brought Braun Strowman back?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That was Roman and Braun's best work was when they worked together.
Yep.
yeah, that was an
Strowman would have gotten over if they would have put the belt on him over Roman. I think too. I think they
Did
killed
bring
him.
the Fiend back? Absolutely. Cross, I could see Cross.
Not true.
Yeah.
How about Dexter? Too shitty of a character.
I'm not seeing that. I see Dexter more as somebody's help, somebody's muscle or guardian angel.
I don't know. I think KO had a feud with Roman in the beginning of the title reign. I thought that was a good feud. I wouldn't have been shocked if Kevin Owens won at that point. Not now, but
Not Roman though. He could beat Drew.
Yeah.
He could-
Owens
he
will get
could-
the world title again. I've really big confidence in that, but not over Roman. like
He
you
can
said.
beat Rollins.
I'm happy that
Storyline wise, it would work for Seth just because of the Shield thing.
yeah. Well, I'm glad that he's back to his original character.
I wouldn't say he's his original character. He's still,
Well, more towards that than being the prize
oh,
fighter.
you mean Kevin Owens? I thought
Kevin
you-
Owens, I'm talking
Sorry.
about.
Yes, he's 100 times better already in 3 weeks with Triple H at the
Yeah,
helm.
by far. Kev, who are your dollar winners this week?
Who are my what?
Your dollar winners. What are the dollar winners this week?
I'd buy that for $1.
So you want to know who my dollar winners are for the week? Down on the bottom of the screen right there, that's the leaders for the year right now. But we record these on Thursdays, so this is going to start with SmackDown, and I'll tell you guys who I picked. And you tell me what you think of these people. On SmackDown, we had the maximum male model leader, Maxine Dupree. What do you think of Maxine Dupree, guys?
She's pretty.
I like how she's always interested in whoever the other people are. So she's definitely down to mingle, as Max Caster would say. But she's got small boobies. So for Friday night, my winner would have been Penelope Ford returning back.
Oh, I had her for Rampage. She got the
Okay.
Rampage title.
I'm sorry, I didn't know we were doing by show. We were
How
doing.
come
by,
Aaliyah never wins?
Who's that?
Aaliyah. Is that an Aaliyah? The one I
She's
like.
too plasticky. She got the I hate the cheek injection.
her.
She just looks like a Kardashian.
I like
Too
her.
fake looking. And like she gets no pop. It's like crickets, you know? It's like if you're drunk at the bar, like, I guess.
Well, is that really what the dollar is? You have to get a pop?
Well, no, it's 50% on looks, 25% on your match, 25% on presentation.
That's bull crap. It's all on looks.
No, it's
Stop with
not.
your crap.
Not at all.
50. Come on. So Tiffany Stratton, you look at her match. She's not.
Very, very good worker for NXT. If she's on the main roster, she's not compared to like Sasha, but for NXT, she's an amazing worker.
Well, my dollar for SmackDown then would be Samantha Irvin.
She is pretty hot. The ring announcer, very hot. Okay, now here on Raw, I almost gave it to Trish. She looked pretty good, but I'm loving Rhea Ripley right now, especially because she switched to the booty shorts with her ass. I love that gothy Rhea.
I'm an older guy. I'm going to go with Trish.
Yeah.
And she liked one of my comments today.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Today? That's awesome.
Yeah.
I had Sonya Deville liked one of my tweets once. I love Sonya. I'm always going to be a stand for her because of that.
No problem with that.
Yeah. Well, I think she's hot, too.
She would go for me.
How come Becky doesn't have any dollars?
I think she has 2 for the year, 1 or 2. But you guys see Mandy's in the lead with 13.
Well,
And so Jim, guess who won in NXT? Guess who got the NXT dollar?
Tiffany Stratton.
Oh yeah. Oh, so
Oh, what a surprise.
Jeff, we all have NXT girlfriends.
That's his new thing. He dumped
Stratton's
Mandy.
my NXT girlfriend.
I claim Mandy Bros.
Oh, you gotta
they're all mine, so it doesn't matter.
Johnny the Trapper's got
I'll play my own show.
cheeks.
I gotta go to MLW or NWA or something. You know what? NWA, Paula Blaze, no problem. Sold.
Indies, I'm a big fan of Jordan Blue. Jordan Blue's a hottie.
I don't know who that is, but Paula Blaze, look, it's. I mean, obviously, I have a thing for the Latinas. I mean, anyone who knows me, but Paula Blaze, my God.
What happened to Lacey Evans? She's MIA.
Indeed. What happened to Lacey Evans?
Yeah, I like her. I actually liked her character too. I'm the only person. I love
You
her.
and Kevin.
Which one
are the only ones? What? Maybe it's the name Kevin.
Maybe.
Which character?
The American hero that's an asshole. Kind of like Cody's AEW character.
The original one was okay before she had the baby.
I like it. It was like a female Cody.
Listen, if she went total Sergeant Slaughter, Tone Crow Trader, that would have been awesome. That's what I was saying she had to do all along. But it was too little and too late. I don't know what to do with her, but what I would do maybe is I think she's on Raw now. Is that right? She's on Raw.
She flops back and forth. They went back and forth like 3 different times. I think so, but
I would put either Raquel or her with Bailey's group because they don't have any muscle.
That's a good idea.
Lacey I think Lacey's a leader though.
Well, good. There you go. Then you have the group. They break up in 8 months and over who's the leader. Perfect.
Indy Hartwell is going to the main roster. It looks like, guys, and Indy Hartwell from NXT.
Yeah.
Dexter brought her back up this week, and then Elektra Lopez should be back on the main roster, and I think there's a third woman.
I really think that Legado, those guys are they're gonna look like the Singh brothers, like the Bollywood boys. They're really small. I
didn't realize how small Santos was, so I saw him with Braun Breaker, and Braun, I didn't even realize how small Braun was, which you reminded me of today too.
Everyone has to remember Lucha Underground syndrome. We all saw these guys in Lucha Underground. We all thought Pentagon was big. We all thought Phoenix was small, not like smaller than me, small. We thought Brian Cage was a monster. We thought Mil Muertes was a monster. We see them now. I mean, Brian Cage is ripped to shreds, but he's 5'9". Mil Muertes is maybe 5'11 and a half. We thought Matanza was a monster. It's Jeff Cobb. He's 5'8".
Yeah. Oh, and real quick, the final dollar winner of the week for Dynamite. Who do you guys think it was for Dynamite?
Oh,
Jamie Hayter.
I love Jamie Hayter. Britt Baker, DMD.
I'd buy that for $1.
And that could be being sexist for the week, guys. Now back to being professional.
Aww.
So, Jeff, you brought up Trish Stratus, and that got me thinking when she was on Raw. How would she fare today with this new revolution of female wrestlers? Would she be one of the top females in professional wrestling today?
Are you talking about right now in Trish's form right now, or Trish?
No, her as Trish when she was on top.
Peak, she can hang with anyone anytime.
So you think she would match up with Charlotte and Becky and
with that? I don't know that anyone matches up with Charlotte, to be honest, until Jade Cargill can learn how to wrestle. But yeah, absolutely, she was a competitor. She was a winner. She would have raised her game to be with them, and she was so likable. And then when she was a heel, she was so hateable because she was so likable. She looks great. She talks great. Everything about her is great. She's age appropriate for me. She's still younger, but not too young.
I think she could win the championship now if she wrestled now, and if Lita came back, she could win the tag belts. She's still
the best side boob in the business.
Yeah, yeah. Trish is great. She's the first person that made me give a shit about any women's wrestling. By the way,
Trish is on my Mount Rushmore of female wrestlers. Steve actually asked me a couple of Hammerlock Hangover as a surprise with no preparation. I'm like, I guess I have to put Moolah. I guess I have to put Wendy Richter. I forgot about China, to be honest. I said Trish. And
Nicole Bass.
And then I
Kevin's
said,
favorite.
Then I went with Gail Kim.
Gail Kim. Gail Kim ripped Jake on Twitter because Jake said she's a flat ass. It was pretty awesome.
What'd she say?
I forget. It was like 2 years ago. She's like, "Look at you fat something." She ripped him. Hilarious.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, what about Sable? You didn't.
No.
I mean, if it was the Dollar Club Mount Rushmore, yeah, all the dollars.
Stacy Keibler.
Oh, she was hot. Tori Wilson. I thought Dawn Marie was hot. I like that little slutty little character. seducing Tori's dad. That was awesome.
You got a picture with Tori?
Nah,
Stacey was a
Kelly
beautiful
Kelly.
woman.
Oh, Kelly. Okay.
And she's still beautiful, by the way, Kelly Kelly. Oh, Candice Michelle, I got a picture with too.
She was a little too skinny for me. Huh?
Candice Michelle, I got a picture with that day too.
I mean, listen, prime Christy Hemme.
Oh, I loved Hemi. I even liked SoCal Val back in the day too.
Prime Sonny.
Sonny was the back in the day was the hottest.
Yeah.
The only question is, was she ever prime? Was she already spoiled before we knew?
She had that HBKD in her end. Brett.
You have to be our high school boyfriend or maybe junior high school boyfriend for 30 prime. I'm not sure.
And she cheated on him. She Candido.
All right. Since we're talking about females, Kev, you had mentioned that as of right now, you think Bianca Belair would be the female wrestler of the year.
Yes.
What makes you say that? Why do you think that? Besides the fact that obviously she's winning all the matches and she's booked to win and booked to be the top female.
Well, I know how we said earlier, you need to transcend the sport and stuff too, but being undefeated and being the champion for a whole year trumps that even too. As much as I have to play kayfabe a little bit too. Her and if Jade Cargill had the world title, if that TBS belt,
But she was the champ for the whole year. She just won it at SummerSlam. Or not at SummerSlam, but Mania, right?
Yeah, well, our year is Mania to Mania. We do our wrestling year that way. So she hasn't lost.
But it's
yeah, so like Jade Cargill would be if that was a world title, if that belt meant shit. Because she actually transcends not the sport, but she's like entertaining. She has a character. But like I hated Becky's character. Alexa Bliss, I hated her character too. You got Lily there, sorry.
what is Bianca's character?
Bianca's character, she's
besides I know the EST, but
she'd be better as a heel. Her character's built to be a heel. Like she's just bragging about being the best, the greatest. It's such a heel gimmick, you know.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, obviously she wins and she's a great athlete. I don't think she's a good promo. I don't think she's a good seller as far as not in the ring, but
it's
like when Bailey came out, did you see her face? Like it was.
Well, it was like when Eli Manning beat Tom Brady and when they were 9-7 and Brady was 15-1. Eli Manning's the champ. It wasn't Brady. So
yeah, he wasn't the MVP of the season.
The Super Bowl he was in the playoffs, right?
I don't know if he was that year or not.
I think I'm not sure, but
what do you think, Jeff?
My female wrestler, I mean, listen, I can see Bianca. There's a pretty good argument for it. Even though she wasn't the champion, she was in the chase and she was winning everything to get there. She was doing the hero's journey. Jade would be in the conversation. She's not a very good wrestler, but she's got everything else. The problem is that they've been putting her into multi-person matches and matches that are too long. They should just treat her sort of closer to Hook or Goldberg, and her matches should never be more than 4 minutes. And they've been doing that, so they've sort of exposed her some. So I'm going to go with the same person I went with last year, who has killed it, elevated themselves, their entire brand, and everyone around them, and she wins all the dollars. Mandy Rose. She's nice. My female wrestler of the year. She's the closest thing to a Ric Flair that we have right now.
She's my dollar.
I mean like 1984 Ric Flair. I don't mean like now Ric Flair.
Yeah, Jim, Bianca's probably like my 10th or 11th favorite female wrestler, but if I had to pick wrestler of the year, I would pick her.
I don't know. I think when you're picking wrestler of the year, there has to be more involved in the picking of it than.
Well, who do you pick? I mean, it's been a tough year because there's been like a lot of your normal candidates haven't worked the whole year.
I guess you're right. I guess I'm not a big fan of her. So
like Thunder Rosa's been abysmal as champion. Britt took a lot of time off. Charlotte's taken most of the year off. Asuka just came back. Bailey just came back. I'm not saying there's not a better pick. I mean, Sasha and Naomi have been gone the last 3 months. Who would be your pick? I'm not criticizing you. I'm curious.
Yeah, you're right. Honestly, I don't know. I
mean, the most improved is Tiffany Stratton.
Yes.
I mean, I like your pick, Mandy Rose. I'll agree with you.
With me.
Oh, and then our female worker of the year, not Dollar Queen, was Charlotte Flair last year, and Britt Baker was the runner-up.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, sure. I mean, Charlotte Flair worked a full year last year, and And Britt Baker, I mean, listen, I know that she's not the greatest wrestler, but she's good enough. And there's only 2 women worth a damn in the AEW women's roster, and that's Jade and Britt. Nobody can get out of their shadow. Even people who are much better wrestlers than they are, because they don't have personalities.
Yeah, I hear you. So, what do you think, Jeff? How do you think WWE's changed since Hunter took over?
I think there's more emphasis on matches and, letting the wrestlers dictate the matches a little bit more so they don't look all the same. I think the show flow has been a lot better. I think he's brought back some people that, the most of the fans thought maybe should never have been cut in the first place, or at least didn't get enough of a chance. Hit Row. I was happy to see them back, but I wasn't happy with their second segment. But let's keep watching, I guess. I don't know. I feel like there's an energy and a positivity. There's a little bit more freedom in the speech. It doesn't feel as scripted and stiff. It feels less stiff. There's still a ways to go. They're still stuck with some stories. They're still stuck with some characters that would just be too abrupt to change right now. But I think it feels more natural. Wrestling doesn't have to be hard. It feels like we're getting wrestling stories. It's like I've always called, NXT developmental wrestling, but it's NWA with a budget. And it's been, aside from like the first 3 or 4 weeks of 2.0, it's been consistently one of my favorite shows to watch the week. Maybe oftentimes the first, not because it's the best, just because it's the easiest. There's simple wrestling stories. You can keep track of everything. Nothing is crazy unless you know that they're trying to, invest in someone or see how they can do, maybe you don't agree with who that person is, like Von Wagner or something, but at least you know why they're doing it. I feel WWE is getting back to just doing wrestling stories, and things make sense, and more people are interested in titles, and they're not just laser focused on the one person they're feuding with. They acknowledge the past. They mention Harley Race. They mention NXT. It just feels like it's not trying to exist in its own canon universe, like it's DC 52, where nothing from the past, ended, and there's no multiverse. So that's it. I'm not ready to say like everything is great. I thought the PLEs consistently outperformed the TV product. I think the WWE PLEs for the last year or so have been solid, really good. Just the weekly television's been terrible. So that's what it is. I think it's a tanker, and I think it's turning in the right directions, and maybe even a little bit faster than I thought it would.
Kev, I know you like it stiff, but as far as the shows go,
says the guy wearing a rock hard shirt.
Yeah.
Hey, recognize. I know you had said you feel.
Recognize me.
I know you said you feel the matches have been too long.
Yeah. Well, first I'll talk about the good. It's not as predictable. It's still predictable, but it was so freaking predictable. It was like tough to get through a Raw and a SmackDown. I was not convinced, but I actually thought there was a shot Ciampa was going to beat Lashley, and Lashley's been the strongest booked guy, even stronger than Roman for the past year. I love that. So like anything can happen again. Like for a while, AEW, like there's a different debut every week. Now the surprises are happening on Raw and SmackDown. Like that's the great thing about wrestling. Like there's some fan service, or should be, because it is entertainment. It's not. It's scripted, so there should be a lot more fan service.
Where's the Kip Sabian request? Where's the respect for Kip Sabian?
Penelope Ford's our hometown girl too, but Kip is such a charismatic black hole, dude. Like, how is he in the main event? That was pathetic. I would rather we have Miro and Malachi Black sitting in the back, but you send out Kip Sabian, that's ridiculous. Even if you want to use one of your hometown guys, like Darby sitting in the back, he's not a heel, wouldn't work, but if so many people that could have been utilized there. Yeah, but I do feel the only complaint, the show's not perfect. It's a 3-hour Raw. It's never going to be perfect. It's too long. But the matches I feel are getting a little bit too long. They are like catering a little bit too much to a niche audience, a little bit to the NXT and AEW audience. There was like 4 over 15-minute matches. I think matches should be like 8 to 12 minutes tops. Once you get to the second commercial break, I'm zoned out. I'm playing on my phone, and I'm not looking up again until I hear a big move or something. Like I go even one commercial break for Raw is like you're pushing the limit for me there. It's like it should be 8 to 12 minutes. The main event, I'm happy waiting a commercial break, maybe even 2 for a good main event if it's built up for the show. But I think the match should get a little too long. Pay-per-views, every match should be a half hour. But Raw should be about character development and story, which they're doing too, but the matches are a little too long. I think to fill out a 3-hour show, that's why.
You should. I think WWE should hire you. You should be the main booker.
I agree. I work for $1.
Dollars. So, Jeff, this was your first experience with the Dollar Club Wrestling podcast. What did you think?
I think you should get your money back. That was great. It was great. You guys are easy. You know, act like you're all big and scary, but you're actually, it's actually nice and soft and fuzzy and low key in here. Even Lily felt welcome.
Jim, are you going to get a Lily? You need a Lily doll to, or you need like some wrestling stuff on your back table there or something.
Yeah.
I'm going to have you take your belt home, your world title, and have it up there or something. Jim's our Dollar Club World Champion.
Wow. Who'd he beat?
Everybody.
Body Lovin' he beat. He beat Sean Liam. No, he didn't beat Sean Liam. He didn't challenge yet. Beat Shadow Pad. He beat me.
Donald Trunk.
Wholesome Andy Warren. Donald Junk he beat.
Have you seen Donald Junk's? Have you seen Donald Junk?
I have not.
Do you want to see Donald Junk?
Yeah, play Donald Junk's promo.
Sure. We'll show
Try to keep me from the junk.
The King of Kensington, Donald Junk. Do you want the edited or non-edited? R-rated or PG-13?
It's your show, bro.
I'll go edited.
I'd buy that for $1.
Good afternoon, Dollar Club Wrestling. This is me, Donald Junk, not Donald Trump. I'm Donald Junk. I live in the streets of Kensington, and let me tell you, they're great. They're great houses, let me tell you, people. You get 3 for $10. It's great. It's great. It's a great atmosphere. There's people dipping in and out. It's great. It's a great experience. It's gonna be wonderful. And then when I win the title in Dollar Club Wrestling, I'm gonna sell it for more. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be the best thing in the world, people. It's gonna be huge. It's gonna be insane. And I'm sweating my balls off because I just smoked like $200 worth of crap. Wonderful people. Donald Junk. Let me tell you, these guys, I cleaned them up really good. I cleaned them up. They had shit all over them. People were shitting left and right. They were stopping this shit. It was crazy. I cleaned them all up. The guy gave me $20. It was great, people. See, Donald Trump, he's worth like $2 billion. I'm worth like 2 cents. So give me dollars, because I'm part of the Dollar Club now, official Donald Junk. So sponsor me. Go to the GoFundMe.
What would you rate that for a wrestling promo?
Yeah, I don't know how you overcame that. That's certainly is a stiff competition there, but luckily you were able to overcome the junk. It's a good thing that you rock hard.
Yeah, show them how I overcame it, Kev.
All right, sure.
Mine's not as funny, but
that's why you're the champ, Jim.
Let me start out by saying welcome to all the new members of the DCW. It's an honor to have you join us. I'm glad you had the testicular fortitude to step up. Now, I'm sure you all know who I am, and if that's the case, recognize me.
Y'all got a beer, man? Got a beer? Give me a beer. Yeah, I'll take that.
You know who I am? And if you don't, what the hell are you doing here, you piece of crap? Google me. Now that being said, for any of you out there that have aspirations or visions coming for this. The champ says, recognize, take on all comers. Recognize me, step up. Because the champ, his balls are rock hard. What kind of balls do you have, if any? But if you are going to step up to the champ, just realize that any scenario that you can imagine, at the end of it, you're going to be saying my name.
Got the crazy eyes going.
Yeah, you should have La Sicaria and you challenge Rock Hard for that title.
Oh yeah, it would just need to be La Sicaria. Don't worry, she's got very powerful eyebrows.
Well, what do you have to say, Kev?
I think we're done. I think it was a good show. Good first time with Jeff. I think we'll have you on a lot more often. Yeah, like follow us on Twitter on at Dollar Club 24/7, Facebook Dollar Club Wrestling. Join our promo league too. All you have to do is film a promo. If you want me to put it on our platform, you can email us at dollarclubwrestling@gmail.com and I'll put it up for you. Or you can post it to TikTok or YouTube and just hashtag Dollar Club Wrestling promo, and whoever has the most likes at the end of each month are our new champions. We do real matches too, but there's some sanctioned matches, but usually we're
There's a big one coming up.
Yep. You're fighting somebody, but we're not promoting that yet.
Wow.
Just saying it's coming up.
Yeah.
Always training, always ready.
That's right. Zack Ryder.
Always ready, Jim Prendy.
Jeff, where can we find you? Where do you want to promote?
Everywhere. You can find me on Twitter at IcarusFellMD. You can find me on many of the fine shows on the PWC, including my own. So I do a wrestling podcast with Big Daddy Cool Steve Pena called The Hammerlock Hangover. We're actually going to have, speaking of dollars, we're going to have, well, it's not really dollar, it's Banana Unpeeled Williams from Zero News tonight as our guest, talking some business news and everything else going on around the world. I'm sure there'll be a lot of Steve and Banana will be enjoying each other, hating AEW. The shows I'm regularly on with PWC, Monday Night Machismo, the Smack Talk. I'm pretty often on Carnage, and then, every now and then on the other shows. And then my non-wrestling shows. Garden of Doom is occult, ufology, cryptids, history, alternative history, religion, alternative religion, theosophy, philosophy, you name it. Things that go bump in the night, and some pop culture. Also on Garden Views is its sister show. They're both on the Garden of Doom feed, and that's more topical, more fact-based, a lot of legal things. Did the laws of cannabis a couple weeks ago, did trademark and copyright and other related laws recently. And I just recorded the show on the moon with a science podcaster, journalist, and science fiction writer, Matt Williams. So that'll probably drop next week.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us. It was fun.
Thanks for having me.
You can find me at Jim Prendy54 on Twitter, anywhere else. Facebook, Jimmy Prendergast Jr. Check us out. Dollar Club Wrestling, Pro Wrestling Tees, Dollar Club Wrestling. Buy a shirt if you'd like. A Rock Hard one, preferably. Jeff, you need to get a Rock Hard shirt.
I'm not sure. I'm not confident.
All right, guys. It's been fun. Till next time, this is Dollar Club Wrestling.
I'd buy that for $1. I'd buy that for $1.